pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. So I've got one change later on as we do the personnel recommendations. I'll
As amended?
as amended.
Motion by Monta, second by Drake. Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Conway? Yes. Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Schultz? Yes. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
And Mr. Drake?
Yes.
I have 7 yes. Motion carries.
Item on the agenda is recognition. I don't believe we have any today. Reception of visitors. Nobody signed in, but doesn't stop us if anybody has anything to say. You can address the board now. Anyone? Nothing in the President's report tonight. We don't have anything under the committee reports. So we are on to 8A, the superintendent's report.
Mr. Drake, we have a few pieces of information before our treasurer's report. We did have one FOIA since our last meeting from Tim Johns at NBC5, who was interested in our also, I'm going to hand out to the board draft copies of the Keeping Posted newsletter, which is our collaborative newsletter in the village with the other organizations. Draft of that, just for the board's purview over the next couple days. If you see anything that is surprising, please let me know. Also, just one other piece, the school, we're starting, since this is our July meeting, just as a reference point, our school board meetings are posted on our website, so we just, as we start calendar year and our fiscal year and school year, we just note that our school board meetings are all posted on the website. And I have a few other things to talk about, but I think I'm going to do that after Carol chimes in.
Before we jump over the concussion, did you happen to look at that info? What was it looking like?
There were, I'm trying to think of the exact number of incidents. Is that what you're looking for, Mike?
Yeah.
I think there were approximately 60 over the course of a year, and we took out information that would have been, I think so, wasn't there? Maybe a little less? We'll find that.
I'd
Maybe
be
we'll find
interested to
it.
see what, I'm sure we've got it broken down.
We did, but we took out, so we got it broken down a little bit, but we also did take out some information that we thought would have potentially been identifiable, just because it's a limited number of kids in certain sports and
Just sport?
gender,
By
so,
sport.
yeah, by sport, so. We'll get that out to the board members. So, and that was sent out, by the way, that wasn't just sent to us, right? That was, they're
Yeah,
probably
I'm sure they're probably looking at it.
doing all schools, so, and the concussion protocol, so.
Concussion protocols this year, trainings.
Carol?
2017. This report is prepared on a modified accrual basis rather than the cash basis that we normally prepare our treasurer's reports on. It does not include accounts payable that we paid in July or August. And in case we do get some receipts from the state, which as I checked today, we haven't gotten anything, that would add revenue to these numbers. Currently, we're looking at about a $3.8 million deficit, but that will go up based on the bills that are paid in July and August that relate equitable funding portion of the budget, and we're still waiting for that to get passed.
Do you know how that's going to impact this bill?
It was going to impact us negatively. So we were actually going to lose revenue under the version I saw in the newspaper. So I've seen versions where we're going to go up, and I've seen versions where we're going to go down. So I'm just, John maybe has more information on that than I do.
Originally, and through the whole time, the thing that allowed, there was supposed to be hold harmless provisions in it, so nobody would lose initially, just as time went on. You know, as things. That's the reason, in all honesty, that's one of the reasons why they garnered support from a lot of districts, was because they didn't mind the more equitable funding mechanism, but it's hard to advocate for that.
But we're good for 2 years.
You didn't happen to be at the meeting with Melinda Bush, did you?
It's become a little, well, it's obviously political, but the bottom line with it is they've never, you know, for everybody, I think, locally, regardless how it ends out at the end of the day, it's hard for boards. I mean, for you guys, people are, at every district, they're making hard decisions, right, every year. And when the system is unpredictable, and you can't even have an idea of what the state's going to do, it becomes so much more of a gap. So I think everybody's thought is they've worked so hard on the equitable funding model, which a lot of good thoughts gone into it, but at some point in time, we've got to support it. At the end of the day, there's going to be some districts that get more, some get a little less, but at least we'll have a system that people know what they're getting from the state. Therefore, the decisions we make won't be things guessing how many state payments we're going to get, or one way or the other.
I think it might be a good idea to invite Melinda to a meeting and let her give us a presentation on where things are as a representative down in Springfield for us.
She's been out trying to get all of us, and she did have a little press conference the other day. She invited, obviously, I was there, and Woodland hosted it, and it was a nice event. And there are, again, there's superintendents from districts that are very rich in terms of their property value, and districts that have very little, right? And so the point is just collectively worry about all the kids in the state. And I think she's tried to put her message out there, just so the governor doesn't stay too long on this, because August 8th or August 10th, this thing just holds off for another month or another year.
I was just suggesting, anybody think that's?
Let's have Governor Rauner come and explain why he's not signing it.
Well, he was in our parking lot the other day, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's invite him back to see how well we've improved from the flood, and then he could explain to us why he's not signed the bill. I think he'd be happy to do that.
Accounted for not getting money. Right now, we're planning on not getting anything from
Right.
them.
Right. So that is in our amended budget. The treasurer's report does include our amended budget. I think when it's all said and done, our expenditures are going to come in where we budgeted them, but our revenue will be the shortfall, and that will come in when the amended budget is. But, you know, really, it's a revenue. We did well with keeping in line with our expenditures, once all said and done. You know, I might be a little high on the fuel, so I think we're going to sell that down and be right on our expenditure budget. But our revenue budget compared to the original revenue budget might be here. We're owed about $1.9 million right now.
You know, the conversation we have about our low point in our fiscal calendar, Dr. Lynn, Jason Milburn, their superintendent, was talking the reality of his situation right now. And he's not obviously doing the district, but he voiced it. Right now, they're anticipating, well, we'll be able to open schools, but they're going to close about April 1st if something doesn't happen. Right? Because at some point, borrowing, right? And so, just the reality, and there's a lot of schools downstate that, you know, are in a lot worse situation than we are up here and have.
I think that might come back to maybe talk about some consolidation.
Shared services, at the very least, and consolidation is another one, so.
Smaller district, but,
Yeah.
see, I think, some of that's gonna be, coming our way. Or at least moving this way.
Some of them would go to Lakes, though, too, right?
Sorry, Tom?
Some of those students would go to Lakes, too, or to that, I mean, the majority of those students go to Lakes now. I mean, we only get,
And Grays Lake. yeah.
in Grays Lake, right. But we don't,
Talking about the consolidation movement, I think.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Happening, downstate with some of the smaller districts, some of the smaller regional offices as well. But I see that becoming a little bit more prevalent as time goes on, budgets become tighter, and like you said, shared services, things that we already do, sharing cost services, and I think we're doing an outstanding job. I think more of that's gonna be.
That's what, I mean, I don't even know what the process is. Review of, we can start the conversation, but it doesn't do us any good without the other two boards, you know. We're a lot of fun to be with and all, but I mean, it's still, we'd have to have the other boards involved.
Harry, you agree with that, don't you feel?
I think maybe that's what we need to do, is have a joint board meeting at some point in the fall and say, are you guys interested in doing this thing to help us all out, or they may or may not be, but, you know.
Yeah, they may just kind of tilt their heads a little bit as.
You guys aren't trying to be the big. Well, I think it,
All their kids wind up here anyway, right?
right, yeah, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I've talked to people about it numerous times, but you know, the savings, you still have to have somebody running the grade schools. You still have to have somebody doing this, so. There is some savings in there through shared services, but I don't think through personnel at the school level, there's really all that much saving. If there is, somebody'd have to show me where it is.
The tricky thing about it is there's very different salary schedules associated usually with those types of districts. But there are some districts that have done some creative things in terms of shared services and still
You have a curriculum and then,
Code, if you have two districts with two separate unions, you've got to go to the higher pay scale. That's what happened in North Chicago. It used to be District 64. And then they joined with the high school district, and that's how they went up.
that would cost more money.
That's why, that's
That
generally
wouldn't
why,
cost less money, that would cost more money.
that's generally why the conversations have stopped relatively soon, because people realize, wait a second, there's. But I think the conversation
The
is,
scale difference wasn't huge, but it was a little bit higher.
I had,
And that cash report is all the cash we have total. We don't have anything else there. So, just to make sure that's in public and out there. So that report is every nickel that we have.
I had one simple question. The scholarship fund at 36 grand, that comes from all the other student funds that have monies that don't get spent, right? What a big,
Josh Church,
I just noticed it's been hovering in like that 3,000 to 4,000 range, and it's $36,000. So that's great.
so what we do is we get from the guidance department, we get a list of students and how the scholarships checks need to be made out, and we make those checks out, and, on occasion, we do have some outstanding checks, we do have some now, and we're contacting the students, because they change schools, and sometimes they may not be schools,
one thing that, Carol and I did meet with District 56 and District 50, talking a little bit about budget, and we did, just for the board's knowledge, we did, all the 4 of our districts were processing together what would happen with the tax freeze, right, the property tax freeze. We were just saying comparables for each part of the conversation. So just so the board is aware in our calculations, because we're sharing it with each other, just so that we have some comparables. It's in easy math, or an easy way to think about it is, it's like $1 million a year. That, you know, that means that the first year it's a little over $1 million, right? At a 2.1 or 2% CPI. Second year, right, it's $1 million or $2 million. So in the fourth year, it's actually $4 million. So roughly speaking, right, over the 4 years, that costs us $10 million. Right? And with the meaning, it was just it's an easy way to think about it that people don't always get. Right? You're talking about a multi-year tax freeze. It's not just about that slice in time. That cumulative effect really affects all districts. So that's why obviously there's a lot of reservations to having that conversation. Is it's obviously the longer that tax freeze will be, districts get significant. And we're because we're 82%. I just wanted to share those numbers. We were sharing it with them, and I wanted to make sure the board was aware of it. I'm also handing out a document. A couple board members had asked about special ed numbers at different times. They had to do with kind of different presentations. This isn't part of our presentation this evening. I just wanted to share it with board members because some of our staff put together these numbers from their colleagues at other districts, and something for us to talk about at another meeting if you want, or framed a different way. But I at least want to get you those numbers because they come from a couple different board members in terms of our percentage of kids approximately in our special ed program, and then the percentage of our kids that are in special ed that are in different types of programs. Right? Educational component there, financial component there. Just wanted to make sure the board was aware of these numbers. Again, we took these from reported information.
They pulled out.
Wendell, there's other districts that are, if you guys don't.
Kind of money is that coming back to them with their idea money?
But they need to make sure, obviously, if you're in a situation where you have the capacity to have those programs all on your own, you're fine. Some districts can, some districts can't. The problem is if you don't have the programs, and you have a student that needs those services, and you're no longer in the co-op rate, so you gotta find options. So there's pluses and minuses. So just something that we might want to catch up on in the meeting. Two last little things. One was, thanks Gary for your patience. Graduation. We've done a little bit of hunting and about graduation times. I told the board about that. We've gotten more positive feedback about trying to see if we can get it done earlier in the day, just because it's easier somewhat for the thing we got from our families. They got back pretty late. And for our staff, it may be easier to make sure we can secure people if we do try earlier in the day. So right now, tentatively, we're still on for Sunday, May 20th. But we're planning on graduation at 11. Right now, the day is completely ours, which means we can move that time if we want to. And or if it doesn't work, the following year, we can move back to an afternoon if that seems to have been less problematic. Right now, tentatively, we're for 11 o'clock. And I wanted to talk last about the flooding, because I know that there's a few people in the room who can probably help me with this a little bit. So I know Carol and Greg and Pat can probably weigh into this, but will you guys give a little bit of update on where the cleaning is and where the damage is tentatively at Eau Plaine?
As soon as we found out about the flooding, we filed with our insurance company. Most of the grounds, except for the south parking lot, were covered in water. And the water came so fast that under the bleachers, the field was tarp, but there's still water getting under the tarp. Went under the visitor bleachers, into the concession stand. We have containers of football equipment on the field, or on the practice field. Baseball field was covered, all the way to the water was coming in the field house store yesterday. We have had a remediation company come in today to start cleaning up the field house. They're going to be cutting up the tarp that covers the AstroTurf, because that is damaged beyond repair. We're going to try and get the football field cleaned up. There's been receding water, so football field, but we still don't know the damage under the bleachers, really the damage to concession stand, ticket booths. We've got storage in the field house that's got some damaged football equipment. We've got to look into the bathrooms that we had at down by the Des Plaines River that we bought from Gurney Park District. So, you know, the sleds, the football sleds, golf carts under the bleachers. There's going to be significant damage. We're hoping that we can get the turf or the extra turf replaced if we can get that done. There were some bubbling up of the turf. The lines are not white anymore. With rain like this, it's the contamination that's really the biggest problem. And with the turf field, getting a company just to, even if they're not going to replace the turf, they've got to decontaminate this field. And for those of you that were there when it was installed or weren't there when it was installed, every one of those numbers and stripes is hand sewed in, cut and hand sewed in. So it's not a stamp or anything, it's sewed. And, I just don't know what kind of water damage that does to that, but it's a very labor-intensive process to put that field together. It's hard block, compressed block underneath it, which is fine. It's really the covering that hopefully be the problem. Not the field. So we've been flooded up to the field, but not on the field. It did rain one year, and we got the tarps on top of that, and didn't see any damage. So, but, we probably got hit with probably one of the worst out of any of the districts that our insurance cooperative field did. But it hasn't receded enough for us to do a full, part of the claim people to do a full assessment. They did come out today, like I said, looked at the fields. They've got, tomorrow the remediation company will be back out in the field cutting the cover off, the purple cover. So, we do have aerial photos of the damage, and fortunately, Pat Healy is going to be watching this daily for us. So I thank Pat for taking that on. And Pat, I know.
Yeah, we don't know what to expect when it cuts off. That's the key. So I'm happy he responded very quickly. The insurance adjuster was very happy with him because he let him know. You won't know until that comes off and you just want to protect it. So
Contingency's already been thought about for our teams during,
our goal is contact our week 2, 3 opponent. That's our first 2 home games. Talk about worst case scenarios, the games, other places. And then we're not home to week 5. So if we had to do something week 2, week 3, go to another place, it is a bigger window for us to do some work if we had to. I don't want to assume anything until we get that covered off and assess something there. We just don't know anything until that comes off.
The one real good thing, right, is if this had happened during, I understand we've had similar type situations in some past years, but, when it happened in school, it would have been obviously worse. I mean, not that it's ever good, but it would have been worse if we had to deal with our regular school year. But in terms of our summer schedule, or in terms of how it impacted camps or any of that, have you tell me what immediately?
Really, band camp, that's the biggest impact. Football's away at camp the next couple days, so they're kind of done for the summer. Soccer's pretty much done for the summer. Band camp will be affected, but they can go to other locations. So it's not the end of the world for them. So August 7th, if that's a Monday, that's when it goes into really heavy usage. So we're hoping as soon as we get this tarp off, we can start making this contingency fund staff up. Again, worst case scenario, football can practice on the grass. We address the turf issues that we need to be in the middle of. He still has spikes.
We also did have these.
Fashion.
That's right.
We have summer school, we did have summer school run, function during golf year was here. So we had stuff in here, obviously there were some kids who might not have been able to make it due to transportation issues, and I think we were pretty good about leniency on those kids, right? But generally speaking, at least we were allowed to have our summer school schedule go as normal, which is
I can make one comment. I'd like to compliment all Gurnee Public Works, all the volunteers, and special mention to one of our alumni, board member alumni from 1986, Chuck Clement, was out there. We were in a sandbag chain, trying to save a couple houses right near the football field. So I'm going to special shout out to Chuck Clement. So.
Okay, on to new business. So at the top of the list here, we've got the approval of the 10-year life safety plan. Carol?
Fortunately, we have Carrie Matlock from DLA, who did the 10-year life safety survey for us. So she's going to talk about that, and Cody, can you hear me? Well, good evening, and thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. A little bit about a 10-year survey for those of you who are not familiar with this process. It is a requirement by the state of Illinois that a licensed architect must walk through a school facility every 10 years. That started in 1983. It pretty much is the result of several efforts by the state of Illinois to maintain a safe environment for students, which began with the Our Lady of the Angels fire back in the 1950s. So this is a process that is required, and there are certain things that you have to look at when you're going through a facility in the line of life safety. And those are fire safety, most of it, because that was a fire originally that this all goes back to. And they had to, so they have us check all the doors, the fire ratings of every wall, and so we have to know when your buildings were built, all the additions, all the renovations, and we take that all into account, and we look at several different code books, and then we evaluate the building through a survey with engineers and architects. So we've walked through your facilities, all the 800 and some thousand square feet this past year, and then we documented all of the violations that the state of Illinois recognizes. And there's some that are options, there are some that are requirements, and those are signified by the ABC. A is something that you have to handle immediately and get done within 1 year. That's urgent. I don't think you have any A's on this list. And then B is required, and that has to be done within a 5-year time period. And then C is recommended, and that can be done within the next 10 years, or you don't, that's just something we're recommending as good practice for your district.
You said C was?
C. And that's something like safety glazing was one of the items on there. And some of the exterior doors have wire glass in them, and the concept is that when you're exiting in mass, that you don't want to be near wire glass because they don't, they don't break through and crash through. You can get stuck. So that's the concept with that. But it's good practice, and that's what we put that in there. So if there's any questions about that process, in order to get approved by the state of Illinois, you need to submit an existing descriptions. So we have to articulate everything about your building, the wall construction, the roof construction, the condition of everything, and then also safety reference plans, which locate every fire alarm device, fire extinguisher, firewall rating, door width, etc. Those are all the documents that were included in your packet. It is a lot of information, and your buildings are in good shape. They really are. There's from a life safety standpoint, obviously there's operations and maintenance that has to happen within the facility, and then I believe the next time I see you all, we'll be talking about those types of items. But for tonight, it's just the life safety. And the buildings are in great shape. Almond, obviously a younger building, is less than $100,000. That price tag is really up to you. Some of the items I understand that you might be doing on your own by your own talented staff, and that will take care of some of that, so it'll be a more economical fix, which is an option for you. And then some of them will be done by contractors. But your district certainly doing a great job maintaining the building from a life safety standpoint. Those are very low items, and when I walk through buildings the size of yours, I get a much, much larger ticket item than that. And the Eau Plaine campus is right around $400,000. There's also contingencies and fees built into all of that. That's just a state of Illinois requirement. That's how they put that in there. It's just to give you an idea that if you were to hire engineers to
do anything, or architects to do anything, that they put a price tag on that, just to give you an idea that there's a cost associated with that, and then some contingencies. So they tack on 20% to every one of those dollar amounts. Those aren't real numbers, they're just there so that you understand that there's more cost than just what the line items. You might do them in bulk, so they might cost less. That's completely up to you, but it is just something that you need to get on your list. The state of Illinois, once you submit this, they will put a check and you've done your due diligence, and then we'll see them again in 10 years, unless you're asking for money from the state of Illinois to use that for life safety funds, which you are not, and so that is really the requirement that you're obligated to fulfill.
One point for the board is, when we were talking about board committees, there was also some interest, I remember, from board members to establish, and I think Mike was the board member that or a separate facility together. But what Carrie was referencing is the bigger facility study, which is an alignment of her more technical review of our campuses with what was our project list. Because we had our ongoing project list, and obviously what we're trying to do is get an alignment of those two. So I'll wait for some direction on the board, and when we have Carrie come back and talk about the facility review, whether it's done for the entire board or based on how much detail it goes into, whether or not we want to do it at maybe a little of both even.
Absolutely, that it is an integral part. This is only one piece of that.
And I had a quick comment about construction details, like your bill, the pool and so forth. Some of those, it wasn't in 1950, it was after that. I just noticed some discrepancy in some of the construction details.
Yeah, this is labeled as a draft, so anything that, any details like that, that your staff will review. We've done the best job we can coming in and looking at your existing drawings to determine. We noticed that, Old Plain is a little difficult to navigate in which areas existed and which areas were new. So, we'll look for some direction from some of the historians in the district to help with that. But certainly, it's a little bit more complicated there. Almost pretty easy. Almost pretty easy, though.
To approve. I move to approve the 10-year life safety review as presented by the district's architect, BLA Architects. Motion by Conley, second by Mundey. Mrs. Wilson? Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley? Yes. And Mr. Drake?
Hey. I interrupt just because I realized, I said, thank you, Mr. Drake, and we started moving on, and I missed the last part of my report, and Willie didn't throw a chair at me, so I'm very happy about that. But we do want to make sure that we come back to our AWOL, our report. Now, Rob, who's taking the lead, you and Laura? Or Willie? All right, sounds good.
ALOP. ALOP. So most of those deficiencies, if you notice on that, had to do with doors and door hardware. So just let me know when you're ready to start working on them.
Those doors are expensive. One door that's hard to open, $1,500.
That is a ripoff. I can get it for you a lot less than that. I can't sell it to you, but I could give it to you another person who can.
That's what I said on the way down here. There's a light bulb out.
Well, if you remember,
Got that from the military.
the ALAP basically stands for the Alternative Learning Opportunities Program. And basically what we have to do is every year in June, we have to write an application again. So that has already been submitted. We basically do the same thing. Sometimes we add some things just to make it better. But what else happens is it has an opportunity for us to offer a broader range
safety nets for our kids and other support services. Every student in these programs has to have a student success plan, and basically what it is, it's an IEP for each individual student. And the counselors in the Bridges Evening Program, and then our teacher in the Bridges Day School, and then our case managers in the Bridges Transition, they all write these student success plans. Okay, so every student has to have one. The reason we want to do that is because we receive full funding for these kids instead of at the 80% or whatever percent we are at now. So it is kind of a little bit of cash that we can get more from the state.
How large is that grant right now?
Oh boy. Carol, do you read?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 300,000, something like that.
300 to 400,000.
Yeah, we get 3 checks, I think, each.
Yeah.
You think
In
you're
the-
gonna get checks?
We get checks.
Oh, we get checks.
Yeah.
It's considered general state aid, so it's in the range of,
Our program is divided up into 3 areas. So we have a Bridges Day School program, which is at Eau Plaine, and we added that the second semester of the 14-15 school year, if you were around and we did that. Bridges Transition Program, again, we were able to add that program in 14-15 because they were telling us that we could, so we're like, okay, yes, we would like to get funding for this. And then the Bridges Evening Program, that has been with us for a very, very, very long time. We added a summer school portion in the 2012-2013 school year. So,
I'm surprised, where you're gonna get to it, what qualifies you to get you to Bridges Day School?
we will talk about that in 2 seconds, right there. So basically, they're gonna be, it's designed for freshmen and sophomores. Okay, so these kids are in jeopardy of moving to junior classification by the end of their 4th semester. Sometimes these students have 1 or 2 credits, and they've been at Eau Plaine for 2 years. So we know that they need some type of different programming. They don't do well in our regular school. They struggle just because they have gaps in their knowledge. They might have been through this type of program like in 7th and 8th grade, and they might have failed things, but they get to move on. And so we're kind of dealing with, oh yeah, you know parts of it, but you don't know all of the information in the content for the curriculum. It's basically, we offered a more intense remediation program. We have the same structure as the school day in this program, and we have about 15 to 20 kids in that, depending on, the time of the year. The program goals for that program is basically the same as the Bridges Evening, but we just want to assist students in completing their graduation requirements, okay? Because we want them to earn a Warren diploma. We want to assist students to develop the academic and social skills necessary to return. We always want them to return to the day school program if possible. Sometimes it's not possible for them. We want them to, whoa.
Oh.
It's fine, don't worry. We want them to enroll in a post-secondary program. Following successful completion of this, or enroll in adult education program, or we want them to obtain competitive employment. Those are our goals for those. And just some numbers to throw at you. 18 of the 22 students that we had met the goal of earning 2.0 credits in a semester. Okay, and considering some of these kids only had 2 credits to their name, that's pretty good. 7 students moved to the next grade classification. 12 students will be moving to Almond Day School next year. 6 students will be going into the Bridges Evening. And then just some comments that those students made. They were very appreciative of the program. They were self-aware of their actions and their consequences. It was a very nice comment by one of the students. He's like, yeah, now I understand and I'm aware that what I do is going to have a consequence if it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, so Bridges Transition. If you remember, Kara and I, we went through that whole revision of the transition program. So this is for those students, special needs students through age 21. Basically what we're doing there is we're addressing the employability and the daily living skill deficit areas to increase their independence. Okay, we want them to be working on a job site. So we have provides connections to post-secondary education, vocational education, integrated employment, continuing and adult ed. Same structure as Almond, numbers this year was from anywhere from 32 to 39, but if you remember, next year we had that huge bump. That's why we were asking for more.
And Lily, it's the day before they turn 22, so it's through
Yes,
their 21st.
through their 21st, yep. You are correct.
39 is the bump, or there's a bump beyond 39?
I don't think it ever went above 39 this year. It was anywhere from 32 to 39
But you said you're having another bump, that's why we expanded the
this
program.
year. Yes. And
That
then
was
that's
the
gonna
bump
go
then.
up to, now you're
Oh.
close, 50-something?
Gotcha.
We have enough staffing for 50 or 50. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Right.
I couldn't remember how much of a bump it was, that's a pretty big bump.
Yeah,
And what a great place to be, Simon Corporation.
right.
Great, it was fantastic.
Right. Their goals basically learn, develop, and apply academic and functional skills in a variety of environments, okay? And we always want them to increase their level of independence and productivity. So when they are on a job site, we don't always have to be with them when they can increase their independence. Just some numbers here. If you remember, we just talked about the restructuring. All 33 students that were out there at the time that we did this participated in work-based learning activities, which is good. We want those kids in some type of work-based learning activity. 33 students made progress on their IEP goals, and that's the whole purpose of this. 30 students worked with outside agencies for support. They have they do some wonderful social work programs out there for those students and their parents. 3 students navigated the public transportation system to and from their work site with no help. And 1 student gained employment as a result of the work site training. So that's always a success when we can get them to have a full-time employment.
You know how many of the stores that Attorney knows are working with our transition program?
Kara and Erin Farley, our lead teacher out there, have been working very diligently this summer. And I know they were going to meet with 2 or 3 places this morning. So I don't know the number right now, but Erin's working a lot and doing the footwork and trying to get us more places out there. So that's good. Okay.
All right, our Bridges Evening program is our alternative school that we house here at Almond. Instead of running it simultaneously during the day like we do for our freshmen and sophomores, we actually run it at night. On Monday through Thursday, it's from 5 till 9, and on Friday, it's from 4 till 7. The program design, basically, there's an administrator that oversees it. For the past number of years, it has been Rob. This year, it'll be me. We also have 2 counselors. They're the ones that work on the student success plan. They're the ones that schedule the students, make sure they're on track, and working towards their graduation. We divide it up in alpha slice just like we do in the regular school system. We do have an evening supervisor. That could be a teacher or a guidance counselor available to the students and teachers Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday, we also have 4 staff members. Those teachers teach our curriculum, follow our programming, and we'll get into some of the courses that we have been offering over the past. We kind of make adjustments based on the needs of our students that are currently enrolled in the program. We also have Friday nights, an A-plus program. This is an independent computer-based classes that students can take to make up some credit deficiencies that they have. It's self-paced. Some classes can be completed relatively quickly, others take more time, so Friday nights are dedicated to that.
What program is used?
Hmm?
What program is used?
A-plus?
The program's called A+? this stuff's been changing every day, like, when I add one more, like another success story, but we've had 4 of them complete this summer. I think there's about 7 that might finish in the next day or 2, and we're hopeful for some of them, but like it's, to be considered a 2017 graduate, you have until the end of the summer session to earn your 2017 diploma. If you don't, you can come back next year, but you don't, and if you earn your, meet the graduation requirements, you get a diploma with the class of 2018. So we're kind of in a critical time for a couple that have like 22 of their 22 and a half credits, and we're trying like, come on, like one more day, you don't want to pay that registration fee, like you're going to get a 2017 diploma, so we're trying to encourage them to get through. We know 4 of them have finished so far, so 27 of our 51 were graduates. We have kept track over the last 5 years, or I've kept track since I've overseen the program. Over the last 5 years, we've had 317 students in this program. 174 of them have earned a diploma. So it kind of puts into perspective how at risk these students are at getting the diploma. We've had 5 Almond students, so at the end of their 4th year, they were graduation candidates, but they didn't meet the requirements in May. And they needed more than 1 credit to earn a high school diploma. And we've said in traditional day school, you can only earn 1 credit. You know, half credit the first 3 weeks, half credit the second 3 weeks. So we need to get you into the Bridges program to kind of get you going, get you on some A+, do some mastery learning, and have you progress through some courses. Actually, we've had 5 students that needed like a credit and a half that have already completed their requirements, but they were considered Almond students. They really weren't in our Bridges program. So far this summer, we've had 9 students because of our summer program, that in past years when we didn't have a summer program, they would have had to come back in the fall. We've had 9 students that were allowed to earn their 2017 diploma because of that summer program that we have going. We're hopeful for another 5 to 7 here in the next couple days. So that summer program has been very beneficial to us.
And you introduced the summer program
In 12, 13.
12, 13,
Kind of at the end of my first year of overseeing the program, we had some conversations and kind of said, these students are credit deficient already.
right.
We need to close the gap, and we're losing kind of a semester with them. So if we can set up this online summer program, these students that can earn another credit or credit and a half in the summer, it kind of changes the game for some of them coming back the following year and just gets them that much closer to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. So Did you say that the majority of the students that come into our Bridges program are students that transfer to us? No. There would not be a majority of transfer students. So are we missing something then in their freshman and sophomore years by the time they're getting to Bridges? Well, that was a part of the reason that the Bridges Day program was started in conversations with Greg and Pat and all of us about them getting to us with only 8 credits, let's say, in their junior year. Right. There's still a long way to go. The difference between a student coming to us with 11 credits and have, you know, like.
That puts you to about
Yeah, so the difference in there, and it was a huge reason we started that day program, because we were identifying students that were kind of credit deficient, and we were losing some time with them. And we said, we gotta get this day program going to jumpstart them a little sooner. Right, so we're just about to see, I think, some of the fruits of that labor, because we just started that program a couple years ago. So we're not seeing, like Willie had mentioned, there's 6 students coming 18% of them have not returned to us, so the DNRs did not register, or they transferred away from us for whatever reason, or just never kind of came back to us. So there's a kind of a transient population, and we've had 13% of our students that have completely dropped or we've recommended it's time for you to get your GED. So just kind of a, you know, graphic representation of where these 317 students have been over the last 5 years and kind of the results we get. So in my mind, you know, this isn't good enough, so Laura's going to get it out to 80%. You know, I've set the standard low.
In their goals.
I joke, but these students, you know, have a difficult time, you know, getting to that point in their full.
I mean, considering it's
5% against the total body, you've got about 18% checking out.
Correct.
it's really more than 55%.
That's how I'm gonna present it next year.
They got to be there to graduate.
Right.
Correct.
But, I mean, we don't want them to drop either, but that's a pretty big number.
Question. You had mentioned that they have to graduate by the time they're 21. Barb asked the question to Willie, day before 22. What's the distinction? Okay. Thank you.
Willie, did you say that some students come in freshman, sophomore deficient in some skills that they need?
Right, because if you know, at a middle school, they don't really keep them back. So like if they don't fail, if they fail something, which they might get it, but they're still gonna move them on. So they could come to us and not have any math background or
Is
anything.
there more that we should be doing at the middle school? Instead of just saying congratulations, move on forward?
Well, that would be up to them to decide that.
We're talking about earlier.
That would be yes.
Yeah, you know, it's a fine line, because, you know, they give us a lot of great kids, but still, you know, there's some kids, just like ours, like our 18% that don't make it, you know, that's probably their 18%. So, you know, we do what we can, and then, you know, we work with the middle schools, like, we can talk about that. So next year, that could be something that we bring up, like, okay, these kids who are struggling for you, what are some things that we can do together?
At least identify, start in, yeah.
The summer program before
Yes, we
they
do have that.
start freshman year, force kids together, invite them for that.
Yep, I believe we have 13 to 15 kids signed up right now to do a little bit of review in algebra and English and social studies. So before they get in there. But, you know, we always want to grow that program, so we'll work on that.
When you guys started talking, I was going to ask you if we have I don't think we do, but if we have one of our greatness indicators or pieces of our strategic plan, especially under the on it too. But I'm thinking at the end of the day, our graduation rate is on there as a prime indicator for measuring our own success. I guess at the end of the day, the last slide that you showed is, those are more kids that are graduating from us and are included in that graduation rate that might not be otherwise, right? So.
Awesome. So then we're on to the next item under new business, letter B, approval of the new 60-month copier lease.
We have a copier lease. It's 2 copiers in the office, so large scale copiers, and then 32 desktop. So we met with ISBS, a company that we use a lot, that we've had very good luck with. We would be replacing office copiers with 32 desktop copiers. We would ship more to black and white instead of color, just because of the cost and the necessity. And we've gone through and talked to, Rico's gone through and talked to the assistant principals about this. So the savings on, annually on the lease would be $30,138. This lease would require a two-thirds majority of the board members, and we would include a copy of all the lease information. We do this routinely, so,
I thought I remembered approving a lease, copier lease, like a year ago, and as I read through it, there's 3 leases that kind of overlap each other.
and we're working next year to consolidate those leases, so, yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Would you limit, and I don't remember that, all the color copiers on the desk ones, or we still have some?
We still have, 'cause we still have color copiers, and those are in areas like special education, libraries, one in the district office. So we identify the strategic locations for the color copiers and kept those.
Are these things on the network, or are they connected?
Yes.
Okay. So anybody that can print their own. Yeah, I guess we just need a motion.
I move to approve a new 60-month computer lease with DeLage Land and Financial Services, Inc., effective July 1st, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Wilson, second by Schultz. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley? Yes. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Next item is the approval of the resolution authorizing destruction of certain verbatim recordings. Commentary, questions?
I'll move to approve the resolution authorizing the destruction of certain verbatim recordings.
Second.
Motion by Munda, second by Gray. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Okay, next item is approval of bills for July 18th, 2017. Anybody have anything noteworthy on them? The only question I had was a number of different, and this is just now that I'm in the software business. So we have Gold Star Learning Software, we have Canvas. Do you ever, I'm sure you look at all the different bits and pieces of software packages? They must all do something a little bit unique and a little bit different. You look to consolidate them ever, et cetera.
We do.
So both
Willie, from the curriculum and instruction side, and Rico from the application side, we go through every
software product
that the district owns.
they actually did eliminate, right, and we
Eliminated Agile Minds. Agile Minds, yep. So we eliminated 2 pieces of software. So we do an extensive review of each piece of software and whether it's needed or not. And that happens every single year.
Anybody else? I'll move to approve the payment of the bills for 07/18/2017 in the amount of $6,924,844.75.
Yes.
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 Mr. Munda?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
And Mr. Gray?
Yes.
7 yes, motion carries.
Okay, so I'm going to read the next item on here, is approval of the hiring recommendations. So I'm going to move to approve Exhibit A, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 16. And in addition to that, number 17, Nora Bowers, teacher English, and Heather Stewart, number 18, teacher social studies on the Alton campus.
Second.
Motion by Gray, second by Munda. Mr. Schultz?
Yes.
Mrs. Conley?
Yes.
Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson?
Yes.
Yes.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes and executive session minutes of June 27th, 2017. Sorry, Bob.
That's my second.
Very good.
Motion by Fonda, second by Conley. Mr. Walls?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson? Abstain. Mr. Schultz? Mr. Anderson?
Abstain.
Mrs. Conway? Yes. Mr. Munda?
Yes.
And Mr. Drake?
Yes.
So I have 4 yes and 3 abstentions. Motion carries.
Last item,
Second.
Motion by Drake, second by Wilson, Anderson.
Second.
Yes.
roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.